Hello, this is Shirley from the Southern Gal's Kitchen, and we're going to be drying herbs today. So hang on. If you're interested in drying herbs, stick with us, and I'll tell you what I do with mine. This is lemon balm and peppermint, and we'll talk about some other herbs. Spring of the year, and one of the things I like to do on the weekends when I'm not working is dehydrate my herbs. I grow a lot of herbs, and I've done videos on herbs. This is lemon balm, and the early spring when the lemon balm comes up, mine comes back every year. It might depend on where you live, but I've got a big pot. It just comes back every year. And then in the spring when it comes up, I start cutting it. Even though it's not just real tall yet, it'll get taller. But by then it's starting to flower, and that's not the best time to start drying your herbs. Do it in the early spring. Just cut it every, I don't know, at least once a week. I'll go out there and I'll cut off my lemon balm, little pieces, and it grows back. And then the next week you can cut some more, and I'll start dehydrating it. Now this is lemon balm that I've already dehydrated, and I have not crushed it up, but I will. I'll have to run mine through a little food mill, like a little, kind of a little spice grinder, I guess. That's what it is. It's a spice grinder. But you can crush this up with your hands too. The grinder just makes it finer. But I'll put my lemon balm, I'll keep it really dry because I'll dehydrate it about 8 hours on low, keep it low. And then keep it in a jar, and it'll keep for a long time. And I drink lemon balm tea, and one of the reasons I like lemon balm tea, it's really good for your digestion, or at least research shows that. It even says it's good for your heart. It's good, but it can slow your heart rate. You have to be careful when you're taking medications with herbs. I'm not taking any that would bother me. So you can do some research on it. But always be careful with herbs. Check with your doctor, your medical person, or do an awful lot of research, because herbs can be pretty potent. Lemon balm is one that has a lot of benefits, but it's pretty potent. It's one that I can take, and I do take. It's good for relaxing. You can take this in the afternoon at night, and it helps you sleep better. Okay, so it's good for a lot of things. That's lemon balm. That's what I'm going to dehydrate today. This I also dehydrated this week because I was cleaning out my fridge on the weekend, and I found out if I find things that I haven't used and they're taking too much room, not in the fridge but in the freezer, and they're taking up too much room, I'll dehydrate them down, like blueberries and things like that. And this was like a half a bag frozen, but you dehydrate it down. It's just a little bit of space. You get these really dry, you can keep them out. I like to take them because they're not hard dry. They're good. They're very good. They're still soft. I'll put these in a little bag and put them back in the freezer. But look how much, hardly no room at all. I use these in yogurt, smoothies. I'll put granola and some blueberries or raspberries or something dried in there. And I have made blueberry crisp with dehydrated blueberries. It's very good. This is mint, and I've showed you before, I grow a lot of mint. Again, grow your mint, lemon balm in pot, or to take over your yard. They just ramble everywhere. I keep mine in big pots. Mint comes back every year here for me. And when it comes up early, before it starts getting that long and flowery, then it starts going to seed, and it just doesn't do as well. You got to keep all them flower heads cut off for one thing. But early spring, just go out there every week, cut your mint. I drink a lot of mint tea. I just love it. And the lemon balm is in the mint family too. So let's set these aside. I've got mint here, ready to dehydrate. And what I do, because the mint and the lemon balm look so much alike, they're kind of similar leaves, I'll dehydrate the mint with the stems on. Then I can see in here, this is the mint, and I don't have to mix it up with, this is lemon balm. I'll put them on separate trays, but you can still get them mixed up if you're not careful. So I'll leave the stems on the mint, and then I'll crush them and take the big pieces out. The lemon balm, this has already been washed and dried somewhat, so it's good enough to put on here. You don't want it soppy wet and put it on your dehydrator. It would just steam. But this is pretty dry, and I may let it sit here and dry just for another minute or so. But I'll take my lemon balm and I'll check the leaves. You don't want any bad leaves. And be careful, even though my herbs are in pots, you'll get these little weeds that come up in there. You don't want those. Weeds can be poisonous. So be really, really careful that you pull those little weeds out of your pots and make sure you're not getting any. Because when you're cutting your herbs, you can cut those in there if you're not careful. Any bad spot on a leaf, I just get rid of it because I have plenty of fresh stuff. Pick any stems and leaves out. And just kind of pick through your herbs. But I'm careful when I cut them. I'll go out there every few days. Well, it takes about a minute, and I'll just pull any of those little weeds out the way I've got in my pots. But I also watch what I'm cutting so I don't get any of that weeds in there. So you just pick all these off, and then I'll dehydrate them. I like about 130 to start out, 120, and then I'll turn it down to about 110 and let it run all night. But about 8 hours, but you can, they dry pretty fast. You can probably leave it on low the whole time, it'd probably be all right. But I like to dry herbs. I've got rosemary out there that I'm going to cut and dry. Even though I dried so much last year, I still have some, but it's already, my rosemary does come back, so I'm going to dry it. I've got big things of lemon thyme and regular thyme, German thyme. I've got those out there. They're just really, they came back really well. So I'll dehydrate those. And like I said, I just grind mine up so they're dry in a little spice grinder. Make my powders, and then, because herbs, unlike berries, you have to really dry these a long time to get them dry enough to not refrigerate them or, freeze them. Your herbs are going to just dry up. You don't have to worry about those molding. If you have any moisture in fruit or something that you dehydrate, it will mold on you. So you got to be really careful with that. I always dehydrate. One, it just takes up a lot less room in my freezer. And I can just throw a handful in, like I said, yogurt, or I made an apple crisp this week with, I had some dehydrated peaches and blueberries. And I made an apple crisp with those. It was delicious. And they were both dehydrated. The peaches were, some I had dried myself, and so they were a little bit leathery, which they'll get that way. So I had to soak them in water several hours, so they really got soft. And I just put my blueberries and all the stuff in there. Just a little bit of water, doesn't take much. And then use that for the juice in your apple crisp. And then you can just put some thickener in there, and your butter and your sugar or sugar substitute, whatever you use. And your fruit will be softened up, and that juice in there, a little bit of water you put in, don't put too much, just enough to barely cover it. They'll soften up after a few hours, and then you can thicken that. Like I said, put some cornstarch or thickener in there, and when it bakes, it's going to make the juice for your pie, for your crisp. And so we love blueberry crisp, and I put just a tiny bit of lemon juice in my crisp, even with the peaches in there, because normally I don't put lemon juice necessarily in peaches. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. But with the blueberries, I really like the lemon in there. So you can do a lot of things with your dehydrated fruits. When you have an abundance of things, I just dehydrate. If I have kale or I have spinach left in my refrigerator and I see I'm not going to use it, I'll put it on my dehydrator and dehydrate it and just dry it up. If I see I have I had some canned tomatoes I dehydrated last week too. And the reason I dehydrated them is because I had bought too many and we had not used them, and the date on them would start going bad. So instead of letting them go to waste, I just took them out, dipped them out of the juice, just the tomatoes. They were slices. Some had basil and things in them, but just dehydrated tomatoes. It makes like a sun-dried tomato in a way, and I'll put those in a bag in the freezer. And boy, they're good in soups and stews and spaghettis, and they're just really, really good. I buy freeze-dried things too. I don't have a thing to do freeze-dried, but I do buy that some, and I like some things freeze-dried to cook with. Fruits and pineapples and things I'll keep on hand freeze-dried. I buy the organic. Some things I'm not as wild about. I'm not as crazy about the instant potatoes as some people like them, but kind of like real potatoes. I like just the real thing. But some things are okay freeze-dried. Fruits, like I said, are especially good. peas and celery. I buy organic freeze-dried celery, and I have dehydrated organic celery many times. You have any celery left over in your fridge, it's starting to go bad, dehydrated. But I have also bought and I do have it on hand, the freeze-dried organic celery, which is, celery is one of the things that has a lot of pesticides on it. Strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, those things I like to get organic if I can at all. Some other things I don't worry as much about, but those I do like to get organic. So I hope you'll try some dehydrating this summer, and let me know what you're drying. I'll probably do some of that rosemary and, like I said, some of that thyme. And I just keep herbs. I don't buy herbs. I just grow my own, and I always have enough around to last all year and then some. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you dry some herbs and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.